Hi everyone, this is Richard, CEO of altFINS. In this video, I will cover the start of 2023 performance for cryptocurrencies, perhaps whether we have reached or passed the crypto winter bottom and we are in a new bull market, and also do a quick technical analysis of Bitcoin. So 2023 is off to a rocket start, a huge start. Let's take a look at the performance year to date for Bitcoin and altcoins. On the crypto screener, under the performance tab, you can see the performance thus far. Year to date here on the right hand column, you can see Bitcoin currently is up 25%, but it was as high as 30% in the plus. Ethereum 27 right now, but also has given up some of those gains already. But you can see it's green in double digits, in some cases triple digits like Solana, across the board for most of the altcoins as well. So what has propelled this excellent start to the year? Well, I think for the most part it has to do with inflation and interest rate data. So under the Research Hub, you can find our weekly market overview report, in which we talk about some of these macro factors. Here specifically, we highlight the fact that here's the Bitcoin price really for the last over a year now. As you can see, it peaked at $68,000 or $70,000, and then it entered in a bear market. But it looks like we have been sort of consolidating and now breaking out bullishly as well. Similarly, all risk assets were under a lot of pressure in the last year or so. Here is NASDAQ really since mid 2002 or so, also entered into a bear market, but appears to be potentially turning corner. But this is the factor that I think is driving all of this on the big picture, macro picture level, is the consumer price index, otherwise known as inflation. Now, this one is specifically for US, but I think it's a worldwide phenomenon, as we know, and perhaps we feel, on a daily basis. Prices of food, energy, and really many other factors, gas, housing, healthcare, have gone up and really accelerated, and that has forced the central banks around the world, including the Fed, to start raising the interest rates, as you can see here, really raising it from almost zero very rapidly to now 4.5%, essentially tapping on the brakes for the economy, and trying to force the inflation to slow down. Now, as the rates were going up, the risk assets like stocks and cryptocurrencies, but even fixed income securities like bonds, corporate bonds, were going down in price. And that really played out throughout 2022. But as you can see now, the most recent readings for the last few months, inflation is beginning to slow. And that I think is very positive for cryptocurrencies and risk assets in general. The anticipation is that the Fed will raise interest rates a little higher from the current levels, reaching about 5%. As you can see these dots here, about 5% in some in 2023, and then will actually begin to decline in 2024. So I think in the next couple of years, we will be, or maybe even have entered already, a bull market, as typically bull markets start slow and then they really ramp up. This also coincides with the Bitcoin cycles. Let's take a look at the prior cycles here. This last cycle number 4 here, that began in 2020, right? We had a big rally and then a major pullback, 74%, frankly, maybe even more, for Bitcoin that played out in 2022. Very similar to past cycles. And then what happens typically in the next 2 years, just like in the past cycles, we get, a steady rally higher. So let's hope that this plays out again this time in the next 2 years. But again, I think that the major driver will be the inflation continue to taper off, and therefore the Fed and other central banks also slowing or stopping their rate increases, and maybe beginning to lower such interest rates, which would be again positive for valuations of cryptocurrencies, stocks, and other assets in general. Now, the other thing that happened in 2022, obviously, that exacerbated the Bitcoin decline were a bunch of very crypto-specific events, right? The collapse of Luna stablecoin, if you remember, sometime in May and June, that really had lots of big fallout and impact that was around here on the crypto prices, and really impacted a lot of companies in the ecosystem, right? Centralized exchanges, brokers, funds, lending platforms, and miners were all impacted, and many have defaulted, right? Not the least of which is FTX, obviously at the time was a number 2 player, has become insolvent. That had a big fallout. Other exchanges like AAX and brokers like Voyager have also defaulted. Some of the funds like Three Arrow Capital and Celsius, and these lending platforms like Celsius, BlockFi, and now Gemini Capital is rumored to be insolvent. So that's always also forced a lot of selling. But I think that we have now in the recent several months, the market has absorbed a lot of the supply from sellers, has created and formed a decent consolidation base from which we can now move forward. It's not going to be a straight arrow up, but I do think that we have potentially entered a new bull market. As far as Bitcoin specifically, let's take a look. We do have technical analysis as we do about 55 coins. And here, as you can see, there were 2 patterns, one the longer term channel down pattern and one shorter term ascending triangle pattern. And so the most recent breakout broke out of both patterns, which is really powerful, and also broke about the 200-day moving average, as you can see in the red line here, which is also an indication of a trend reversal or uptrend in general. And we're holding about that 20,000 horizontal resistance zone as well. So great bullish price action for Bitcoin, which I think will carry the market with it. Now I think that we may get a bit of a pullback because we are very overbought. Look at the RSI at 88.5. Anytime we're above 70, we're overbought. So we've gone a little too far too fast. So I do think that we'll see a modest pullback to that $20,000 or so level, and from which we can then continue to march higher to about $25,000 in the next couple of months. So I do think that with that, altcoins will also follow with Bitcoin as well. I hope this gives you a better picture of what has transpired and what's driving on the macro level some of the positive bullish action. And if you have any questions, please email us at invest@altfins.com. Good luck trading.